Hey guys, Ruben Lara here, and today we're going to talk a little more about sculpting forms when we're painting. You know, when we're looking at other people's artwork, it's easy to feel overwhelmed by what we may perceive as a lot of complexity in the piece. And that can be paralyzing sometimes. But if we think about the execution of a painting from a certain perspective, just stripping it down into more basic stages, we'll be able to paint with a lot more confidence and a lot more quickly than we might imagine as well. And that's what I kind of want to show you today. I'll be using this new painting that I just created called First Run. One of my favorite things to do, even though I'm not very good at it, snowboarding. But wow, what a blast. Really clears your head. Okay, this is my Clip Studio file, and I just want to call attention to a couple things before we get started. I have a couple of products on my Gumroad store, and specifically I'm referring to the Art Bag products, Art Bag 1 and Art Bag 02. So if you want to download this layered Clip Studio file, look at it up close and kind of break it down a little bit, that one is currently in my Art Bag 2. And this project I'm having a lot of fun with. It's basically making high quality art accessible at low cost. All the files in each art bag are high resolution. You can print them up to, I don't know, 15, 20 inches, some of them even larger. Use them as posters, use them for decoration in your home or office. Yeah, they're used to use as you wish. So hope you enjoy that. And also if you're an artist, being able to kind of open up these files and flip through the layers can be helpful as well. I've also recorded a time-lapse of this painting, First Run. Now this time-lapse also available on my Gumroad store. Doesn't have audio in it. It's just a silent time-lapse. The whole painting took me about an hour and 15 minutes, but I've condensed it to about 20 minutes. It's quick enough to watch through, but still slow enough that you can actually see what I'm doing in the stages I'm going to call out right now. So I'm actually going to be using this still image in Clip Studio as well as the time-lapse that I posted at Gumroad, and I'll be scrubbing through that just to kind of highlight a few things. Now, from a distance, we have enough detail to convey the scene, especially for a painting that only took a little over an hour. But when you really get up close, you can see that the execution is very immediate and what we might call straightforward. It's just focusing on the major shapes, the major light forms and planes. And yeah, I'm always just amazed at how far that approach will take you in a painting in terms of even creating some realism. So here we have our nice mountains in the back. And what I want to focus on today specifically is basically this effect where we're taking a lot of blocks of color and just kind of blending between them. We see that a lot happening here in this snow path coming down. All right, I'm opening the Quicktime Movie, and this is basically what it looks like. I start with a blank canvas, and you can see that my initial stages here, I'm scrubbing through a lot faster than what it plays at, by the way. The initial stages here are just laying in almost like a color by number approach. Of course, these are the stages that nobody ever sees when they're looking at the final piece. And they're quite ugly at this point, but that's not what we're concerned with at these early stages. We're just trying to get those basic colors in to give us a sense of the depth, our color palette. In fact, here I actually started with a lot more color than I ended up with. I ended up kind of opting for a more foggy, hazy kind of a day. But this is the time to start planning that out, not after you've painted it and then made it an artistic choice later on. You've basically wasted a lot of work. Going over these colors again, is easy and painless. Now here in the sky, you can see I'm already starting to do a little bit of that sculpting. So I'm just going to hit play here so we can see it at the time-lapse speed. So you can see that by using some kind of blending brush. Here I'm using my Sculpt Brush, which I really love because it's a little bit syrupy. It pulls some of that color. It pulls the color of the origin of your stroke into the next color zone, which I really like. But you can see how quickly I can start just blocking out these forms and basically getting these lost edges. I'm looking for that hard edge and the soft edge in each of these shapes. You can see that especially down here where the snow kind of starts to undulate. I'm not super concerned with the details at this point. I'm just getting these big masses in so I can start evaluating things. All right, so that sculpts in some of that sky. Now, here's the value of this to me. At this point, I decided I really want this a lot more hazy, a lot more fog. Simple. I just took a hard-edged brush, dropped it to a super low opacity. Or actually, here I'm using the oil paint flat brush that ships with Clip Studio, and I'm literally just wiping the screen, with a white at, what am I at, like 10 or 20% here. And it doesn't matter because I'm still going to go in and use that Sculpt Brush to go ahead and blend those forms. And that's why I call it the Sculpt Brush, because I really feel like, the paint is like this block of clay where I'm just lightening, darkening, kind of in these big aggressive passes, because I know I can always come back, with that little clay sculpting, a little bit of polish, a little bit of wet rag, as we might do in a clay sculpt, and just smooth that out where needed. So there's some more sculpting there. Actually, here I'm using a rag blender that I created. It's a little less oily, it has a little more texture to it, so it accomplishes somewhat of a similar purpose. And here I've gone back in with a cat's tongue brush, and now I'm just grabbing local color. Once I've sculpted and blended, now I can just take my normal paintbrush and I'm option clicking, and now I'm really kind of bringing these shapes in and out, trying to find compositionally now what the shapes that that I'm looking for. All right, I'm gonna fast forward a little bit. In this particular case, I don't always do this, but you'll notice that I've kept my painting at the same zoom level, and I have maybe like a 24-inch IMAX screen here, but I try to stay at the same zoom level for as long as I can, and that really stops me from adding too much detail too soon. I'm really trying to make sure I get the whole painting done at a certain level of detail, at a consistent level of detail. Again, that helps me make big changes. What if I had spent all this time working out this dune over here, only to figure out later that I had to go a lot lighter once I painted the guy in, So by moving forward, by covering the entire canvas, I find at least that it frees me up to make big changes painlessly when I need to make them. All right, so I'm just, again, here's a bunch of detail that's starting to come in. I'm just grabbing, big texture brushes, popping those in. Not too concerned about specific details right now because I know I'm going to go in and just blend those out. I'm not overly blending it. I don't want this to turn into a big, airbrush piece. I'm still trying to find and keep as many hard edges as I can. But I do want to lose a lot of those planes, right, that are meant to kind of go in and out of each other. Here I'm applying some curves, as you can see. Oh, another thing I want to call out here is that I've applied a tone curve, and as much as I can, I just want to go ahead and flatten that back down to the artwork. And now I'm working on a single layer again. And I find that if I have too many layers when I'm painting, I'm not able to identify, where the mistakes are, because it's on this layer, or that layer, or top layer. Just keeping it on a single layer keeps it as traditional as possible. You can always redraw. Don't be afraid to redraw. You're an artist after all. And I find that the redraw process actually adds a lot of complexity. It almost gives the painting a little bit of that layered look. So here I'm moving through that. I'm just going to scoot forward a little bit. And you'll see if you end up downloading this time-lapse video that... now if you end up downloading this time-lapse video, you'll see that I make lots of changes to this snow spray, kind of bringing it in, bringing it out, sculpting forms, redrawing snow, pulling it back out. And just by keeping it nice and loose all the way through, I just feel like I retain a lot of control and confidence as I go here, as I finish this piece. All right, well, that's just a little overview. I hope that was helpful. I'd love to hear in the comments what are some of the challenges that you have when you're going for a painterly look. And remember, the more you practice, the better and faster you will get. So in conclusion, the review for today is block in your shapes, block in your colors. Don't be concerned about the final look right away. Get those big masses in so that you can make global changes to your piece. Keeps it very flexible and controllable right up until you get to the point where you want to add your details. All right, hope that was helpful, and have fun painting.